welcome. This is the last Life on Tap of the semester, and it's probably one of the later ones that I've ever done into April. Usually we don't do it this late. So thank you all for being here. And per usual, by the way, I don't have a clock over here telling me what time it is, so I will have to check my watch just to make sure we don't go too far over, because these gentlemen are talkers, as are most salesmen. That is, you have to be a talker if you want to go into sales. So, all right, I'm going to introduce these gentlemen really quickly. We have Luke Barrajo, who graduated in 2022. He majored in philosophy, and upon graduating, he knew one thing, that he did not want to do roofing sales. Currently, he is a sales manager at Roof Simple in Front Royal. And Mr. McFadden and I both talked to him numerous times while he was a student and said, you should go into sales. And he said no, and here he is. 4 years later? Oh my goodness, 4 years, yeah. Okay, he has worked as a salesman since September of 2022 and managed a team since May of 2023, selling one of the most critical components to life, a roof over your head. In 2024, he won the Golden Door Award for being one of the top 1% of door-to-door salesmen in the country. That is huge. He is looking forward to exploring how ambition and sales integrate well with Catholicism and the pursuit of sanctity. He is married to Erin, and they have one son, Luke Jr. Yay! So they live here in town. And they did, and Luke was here last year, if you recognize him, for the Newlywed Life on Tap. We said that next year he's going to come back and do a third round. Every year. We're just going to have Luke up here. All right, and then we have Nicholas Ward, who graduated last year. He majored in philosophy as well. He has always enjoyed networking, connecting with people, and building relationships. And if you knew him last year, you know that's very true. Hence, at Christendom, it was a natural fit for him to intern with the advancement team, sell the college to prospective students as a student ambassador, and eventually serve as the president of the Senior Philanthropy Board. During breaks, Nicholas prepared for his post-graduation career in sales by working for a land wholesaling startup. You'll have to explain what that was. And by completing 2 sales internships with Kelly Generator and Equipment. And Kelly Generator, the owners of the company are donors to Christendom. And so actually, Nicholas's older brother introduced me to the owners of the company, and they were like, we would like to hire some Christendom students. And Nicholas was hired 2 summers in a row to do sales with them. So he returned there after graduation and has been working there since. He handles service contract sales for the state of Virginia and parts of Maryland. Oh, I thought it was parts sales in Maryland. Parts of Maryland. He lives in Northern Virginia with his wife, Monica, who's up front here, and they have a baby on the way. So you can give them a little round of applause while I get a sip of water. Nope. Never mind, I knocked it over, and it's too much to get out. So, okay, so before we even get started, we're gonna kind of address the elephant in the room. So many people, and by the way, I had an alumna email me recently saying, I have heard that the only thing you can do with a Christendom degree is go work for a roofing company, okay? I know that that's what people say, and they know that's what people say. And Luke, that was part of why he didn't, well, I won't speak for you, but that's part of what he was thinking. I don't want to just go do that. But there are lots of good reasons to go into it if it is the right fit for you. So I hope that you will keep an open mind tonight. And by the way, I can give you statistics on the class of 2025 to show you that not everybody goes and works at a roofing company or a public adjusting company. We have plenty of teachers and customer service agents and all sorts of other things. And the class of 2026 will have a nice diverse career whatever as well. So, right, class of 2026, we got several going in the medical professions, yes. Okay, so let's start with, tell us about how you ended up in sales and how you ended up at Roof Simple.
Yeah. So I was in France 5 my senior year, and all of the guys, while we were in there, we were like, you know, none of us, we all have to make a pact. We cannot go and work at a roofing company. Everybody else has done it. There's no good reason to do it. And one by one, everyone fell into doing roofing. First it was Max Henry, then it was Nick Barron, then it was me. Mm-hmm. And I was the last stronghold there, holding out on it. And I had been project managing for my uncle at a government contracting company. And I was talking to my buddy Max, who was working at Roof Simple at the time. And he goes, man, you should come down to Front Royal. He's like, you got to get back to the community, got to be with the people. He's like, you would do well in sales. You know, it's got all of the soft skills that you have from being like a philosophy major, and it has the open opportunity for you to make your own schedule, for you to, you know, go and knock doors and talk to people and have a good relationship with people. And pretty much after hearing all of that, the only reason I left is because I wanted to get away from my parents. So
You can only live with them for so long after graduation.
So I came down to Front Royal, started in sales, and basically wanted to quit like every week for like 2 years, and then ended up figuring it out, getting into a rhythm, and stopped being so bipolar, and just finding an even keel with everything. So you guys can let loose. You know, we're
No, they are stone cold today.
Yeah, I know.
They haven't. Not all of them can have a beer to relax.
Okay.
So when you came back down, it took a while to get your groove, and now you've been in it. Why are you still there 4 years later?
Yeah, I am still at Roof Simple and still doing the roofing gig because I have managers, team members, and bosses who all are focused on building virtue, who are focused on the path to sanctity, and focused on how our sales works out our sanctification by doing our job well, by applying ourselves in the way that God intends when he dooms Adam to earn his keep by the sweat of his brow. So when we do our team meetings, it's not like, how many doors did you knock? You know, how many people did you talk to? How many signs did you get? And it's more just like, dude, are you growing? Are you getting better? You know, wow. Are you focused on growing closer to God through your work? And being able to say that at a job, to me, is way more important than necessarily being comfortable. So.
Okay, excellent. All right, Nicholas, tell us, how did you decide to apply to the internship with Kelly Generator when it was first offered? And then what made you decide to go back?
That's a great question. I think, is this working?
Yep.
I think throughout probably my late high school years, early college years, people would naturally say or point out my aptitude for networking or sales or my outgoing personality. So I knew that I had that just kind of as a natural skill, and I thought, why not build off of that? And so while I was looking into several other things at the time, architecture, project management, a couple other things, when I met John Kelly, the president of the company, at one of the booths in the Commons on the way into lunch, you know, my brother was like, hey, you should talk to this guy. I was very impressed with what he said about the company culture and the ability to grow and make a good living through doing sales with them in an industry which is extremely critical in a lot of aspects. And I like the appeal of finding meaning through that. And so I decided to make use of the extra month of time that juniors have who go to Rome in the spring between your first semester and your second semester. I guess also fall Romers do have that at the end of the summer as well. So I did a month-long internship at Kelly, kind of throughout all the different departments, and got a really good taste for the company itself. And I was impressed by that, and so I returned the following summer to do a specifically sales internship over the course of the summer, which I enjoyed and loved it well, and it really set me up for success to know a lot of the ins and outs of the company, be very familiar and comfortable with it, and to dive right in 3 days after graduation and a month before getting married. So it was great.
Yeah, yes. And what do you guys sell? Tell us about that.
So Kelly Generator is the industrial distributor for Generac for the Mid-Atlantic. So if you, not that any of you would, watch the like Weather Channel or something, you'll see Generac home generators all the time on that. That's not what we sell. We sell industrial, so nursing homes, hospitals, the data center world is exploding in Northern Virginia. We're getting into that as well with some of the big iron. So we distribute Generac for the Mid-Atlantic. We have a parts department for all makes and models, and then we have a service department that services not just Generac, but all makes and models of generators. I sell service contracts for all of those existing units in the field, and then we also have one of the largest rental generator fleets on the East Coast. Now, before I worked for Kelly, I was like, what the heck are generators? And I would never have thought I would work at a generator company ever. And now everywhere I go, I'm like, ooh, that's a Kohler. Oh, that's a Generac. That's probably a 500 kW. And I'm like, I see them everywhere. And guys, they are everywhere, but you never would know it. So yeah, it's funny. So that's what we do.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful. And what is it that you sell when you go door to door?
Yeah, most important part of a home, roof over your head. Sell people peace, sell people assurance, sell people the fact that they won't have to worry about something that's going to be a giant impending cost for, the next 25, 30, 50 years.
Did you want to revise your answer?
No, actually, I'll jump on it and say it's rather similar. Like generators, it's life safety. It's super critical. So a lot of the applications that we're dealing with are for nursing homes or hospitals or surgery centers where it's absolutely critical that they have backup power in an emergency. And I think it's a good time to make a quick distinction about the different roles that Luke and I have. So Luke works for a roofing company, and he's primarily selling to homeowners, right? It's person-to-person sales. I, on the other hand, I'm doing business-to-business sales. So it's Kelly Generator and the general contractors, the electrical contractors in the area, or the property management firms and companies around the DC, Nova, Maryland area. So if you're interested in sales and you want to kind of figure out where you'd most like to be and what sort of environment, that's a really big kind of broad distinction between different sales that you might do. You would want to do business to business, or what would you say? You're just person to person? D to D. Okay.
What's D to D?
Door to door.
Okay.
Got it.
And then there is B2C sales, correct? Business to commercial or to consumer? Ooh. Who's got Google?
Neither of us do it, so we know now.
Okay, B2C. I think it might be business to consumer, where you are the consumer and a business is selling to you. So there's lots of different kind of sales. And then there's inside sales and outside sales. So can you tell us, because you do outside sales, you were saying?
Correct, yes.
So tell us about what that means compared to inside sales.
So
You do both. Okay, great.
you do both. Okay. So broadly speaking, at least in our company, somebody who does outside sales it kind of is what it sounds like. You're outside, you're front facing, you're meeting clients, you're meeting with prospective buyers or consumers or whoever it might be. Whereas with us, if it's inside sales, you might be in more of a support role in the sales department. It kind of, in my opinion, just kind of depends on how the company is set up, what their internal processes are like, and what the sales process entails. So maybe you can pitch in for what it looks like for you guys.
Yeah, and it's not really interesting stuff. We're just trying to make distinctions here so that you guys understand what we do. So outside, like Nick is saying, is going out, finding the leads, sourcing them, figuring out who you're going to work with and how. Whereas inside sales is stuff that comes into the company and then it gets dished out to someone within the company, and then they handle doing the sales. And something that I wanted to say off of my point when I'm saying peace of mind, or Nick is talking about generators, is sometimes within the fact of doing sales, people are like, oh, I don't want to sell a product, or I don't know if I want to sell a specific thing. If they want to go and work for a company who caters to a specific product, or even in tech, they don't want to sell a certain software. But the important thing for us as like Catholics to remember is we're not just selling a product, we're selling these things that people either need or businesses need. And in order to do that, you have to do that in a clear, articulate, communicative way. You have to be a good problem solver, good analytical thinker, which all of you have the talents to do based off of the education that you've received.
Absolutely.
So you guys are the most apt to doing these types of jobs, and the amount of inept and incompetent people that like we personally work with on a day-to-day basis is like astronomical, as opposed to like someone who has a basic understanding of like how to read, you know, like you guys do. So
You guys can all read, right?
yeah.
Yes, yes.
Can I second that?
Yeah.
I would just say that I was blown away when I first did my internship at just how well prepared I was to enter a professional world. And I think it's easy as Christendom College students from like a small Catholic liberal arts college to kind of sell ourselves short a little bit on how well prepared and how excellent of a worker you are already prepared to be. I would say don't be afraid to go out there and absolutely kill it, because you can. You guys are exceptionally well prepared. You should be extremely excited and pumped to figure out what you want to do, even if it's not sales. It'd be great if it was sales, because you all have the skills to do it. Most of you probably, maybe some not, but seriously, you should be super jazzed about it and not have any hesitations about your lack of capability, really.
I'll build off that. Raise of hands here. Who here has listened to Jordan Peterson for anything? Okay, so these are Jordan Peterson's words, not mine. So you can actually listen to them. Jordan Peterson says that when we're looking at degrees of jobs and who kind of rises to the top, it's a battle between competence and confidence. And the people who hold the competent jobs are also competent because they had to have some level of confidence when they interviewed for it. They also had to show the competence within the interview to, get the job. So with you guys, I'm telling you, and you guys should know and take solace in the fact that you are very competent. Mm-hmm. But the Christendom students that, you typically run into maybe lacking a little bit of the confidence, maybe lacking a little bit of the ambition. Now, some of you are a little too confident here, and I know some of you, but that is all to say, coming from Nick here and coming from me and coming from Jordan Peterson, if you have basic levels of confidence, basic levels of competence, you shouldn't sell yourself short to get the $25,000 teaching job, and not setting your family up for the future now. If that's what you want to do and that's your mission, you better go out and change the world and change the students there within it. And that's not to say that those people don't do that. My wife was a teacher for 2 years and she was very good at it, and she made a big impact in the kids' lives that she was in. But you don't want to sell yourself so short coming out of college that you miss, big opportunities to take advantage of all of the skills that you've gotten from Christendom.
And to piggyback on that, I would say that teaching is not a backup plan. You don't just fall into teaching. You're not oh, I can't do anything else. So, and I think that's what you're kind of saying. Don't feel like your post-graduation pursuits need to be, well, I'm just going to go into teaching because I don't think I can do anything else. So he's saying find that confidence. And I'll tell you all a story while I have such a large captive audience, because I've told many of you this. If you've come and sat in my office and you've not had confidence, I will tell you, when I was a junior in college, I had to go register for my senior year classes, and I told my advisor, my favorite professor, she was crazy. She had flamingos everywhere, bright blonde hair. She was a hoot. And I said to her, I better take my senior capstone course in the fall semester in case I fail it. And I was that way I can retake it in the spring. And she's like, sweetheart, have you ever failed anything? And I was like, well, I failed a test freshman year because I did not prepare. But she looked at me and she said, people dumber than you have passed that class. And she laughed while she said it. She was so sweet. And I just have never forgotten that. And so I will tell you, if you come into my office, people dumber than you have gotten that job. People less qualified than you, people with less ambition, with less education, have gotten the thing that you are seeking. So find that confidence. I mean, they're telling you, everybody who sits up here and talks with me, they tell me the same thing. They meet people in the workplace that they're like, how did you get the same job that I have? And it's true, it's out there. And so you all are very well prepared. EFL really does help, I promise. I know some days you want to pull your hair out because of it, but I promise it helps set you up. And then of course the education that you're receiving in the classroom too really, really sets you up for that. So thank you for letting me steal part of this. Okay, let's talk about money. Because with sales, a lot of people decide to go into sales and stay in it because there's a lot of money in it. Talk to us, Luke, first about how you make your money, and then, because yours is different, then share yours. So go ahead, Luke.
Yeah, I am what's called a 1099 commission-based contractor. So Roof Simple hires me out to basically work as Luke Barrajo LLC, and I am a contractor of Roof Simple who goes out, knocks doors, gets jobs, sources leads, brings in revenue for them, and they pay me as such. The issue with that is that there is zero sense of stability in that, because if I go out and knock 400 doors, I don't get any signs, I don't get paid. But the other end of that is if I go out, I source 15 jobs, they all get approved, then I get paid on all of them. So it's high risk, high reward. It's running your own business. It's entrepreneurial. It's scary. It's daunting. It's frightening. But if you take the leap, you can make a lot of money, but you can also miss a lot. So when guys interview for Roof Simple and they're deciding between which type they want to take, I'll often say, like, hey, if you don't have a lot of responsibility, you might as well just go on, be 1099, try and figure it out. Because if you can tap into like the raw talents that you have and really capture a lot of revenue for a company, they want to reward you. They want to give that payment out to you. So for me as a 1099 contractor, like I said, with how daunting it is, there's security in the fact that I know my talents and I know how to do these things. But there's also a part where I have to be consistently learning, how is Luke Barrajo LLC functioning as a business? How much money am I spending on Zins, on gas, on driving out to these places? How much money am I spending on my accountant? How much money am I spending on taxes? How can I lower my liability in a way that's ethical to render unto Caesar? So you have to be very savvy in order to be in that role and be like constantly vigilant, constantly checking your bank account, making sure everything's all straight.
Okay, so the biggest thing about a 1099 contractor is when you get paid as a W-2 contractor, which Nick will talk about, which is what I am here at Christendom. I have a salary, I get paid the same amount every single paycheck, and taxes are taken out. With 1099, zero taxes are taken out. You are responsible for setting aside money. And so I tell this to the seniors in EFL, but if you make $10,000 as a 1099 contractor, you get all $10,000. If I made that as a W-2 employee, I'd get $7,500, maybe only $7,000. Yeah. And so, because taxes were already taken out. So you have to set aside money. That's where he's saying be savvy about your finances, because at the end of the year or quarterly, you as a 1099 contractor, you pay your taxes. And if you don't have money in the bank because you were like, I have $10,000, I'm going to spend all of it, then you have a huge tax bill. And then you're in trouble.
And you also want to be setting yourself up for retirement. You also want to be setting up yourself and taking advantage of like all the litigation that the government has set up for small businesses to succeed. So in those ways, when you're looking at like W-2 and 1099 is a lot of risk, like I'm saying. But it does offer the same type of support so long as you're putting in the work and getting the meritorious gain from it by putting in that work.
Okay. So tell us about yours. How is yours set up?
Yeah, that's great. So this is great because couldn't be more different almost in a way, which is great for you guys to understand. So I'm a W-2, so like Kristen, I get a paycheck. So for sales for Kelly Generator, and lots of other places do this too if it's W-2, I'm salary plus commission. So I really like that model because I was getting married right away. Depending upon the type of sales that you're in and the sales cycle, what I mean by sales cycle is, okay, you get a prospective client. How long does it take for them to sign or, to close the deal? Then how long does it take for you to get paid on said deal, right? Mm-hmm. So even within the sales employees at Kelly Generator, that time frame can look a lot different from department to department. New unit, service, rentals, right? Same thing with like Luke. Let's probably like once the job is done or once the job is paid out, then he gets his check. 6 to 8 months later, he gets the roof at 123 Main Street from 8 months ago that he signed. So depending upon how long that sales process is, you might not see the commission, the bonus, for a long time. Now, I was getting married a month and a half after college. I wanted a salary plus commission structure because it gave some of that support. I'm going to get X amount of money for sure, and then how much can I make on top of it? So if you start researching sales roles, you'll see a vast variety of what the percentage is from like, okay, $20,000 in commission, right? And ability to make $20,000 in salary, a lot of potential in commission, or something that's a much higher salary, lower percentage of commission. So all that to say, I'm salary plus commission. Hopefully that all makes sense to you. Mm-hmm.
And if we had a third guy here who is sitting in the middle of us, call him Joe Schmo. Joe Schmo would be making minimum wage plus uncapped commissions or capped commissions if his company didn't care about him, And those uncapped commissions mean like he can earn his minimum wage to do what he needs to do to fulfill his role, to have that stability. But as long as he's making sales, he's getting paid an exorbitant amount.
Okay. So the other big thing to know about the difference between W-2 and 1099 is that a 1099 is not an employee of the company. So Nick actually works for Kelly Generator. Luke, as he said, works for himself. And with 1099, you are often not given benefits, health insurance, life insurance, retirement accounts. Those are the three main things. Even let's talk about that later, but vacation time, I want to know about how that works. So talk to us about what kind of benefits does Roof Simple offer you, and what kind of benefits does Kelly Generator offer you?
Yeah, Roof Simple offers benefits in terms of incentives. So there's monthly incentives, there's yearly incentives, there's yearly benefits for certain roles depending on where you're in. So if you sell like $1 million, you get $3,000 extra. If you sell 1.5 million, you get $10,000 extra dollars. So it just depends on like what role you have. And then in terms of the benefits side, I just pay all of that stuff myself. Mm-hmm. So I just set it aside and it just comes out as an automatic payment for health insurance. There are ways in which sometimes it's more financially feasible for you to be in a place where you have like a health savings account rather than a proper health insurance. Mm-hmm. So, for instance, like if I was a single guy and I like hardly ever went to the doctor or the dentist, I would just have a health savings account and just put in, my money into my health savings account. And then at the end of the year, that's all like tax deductible. Mm-hmm. This is really nuanced stuff.
But that's okay.
But in that way, it's like way better for me economically to be 1099. Now, for someone who's like coming out of college, just about to get married, it's way more stable to take that job where they're going to give you all of that stuff up front. But if you're savvy enough, you can make it work as being a 1099 and just setting aside that money, being disciplined, not spending the money before you get it.
Right, yes, don't do
which
that.
A lot of guys do. But
oh yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So the other thing is setting up, there's a 401k, 403b. Those are the two main types of retirement accounts that an employer is going to offer you. A 403b is usually at a nonprofit, like at Christendom, schools, that kind of stuff. whereas a 401k is at a for-profit business. There is also something called an IRA, individual retirement account. So as a 1099, he would be setting that up for himself so that he's still putting money away in an investment account for retirement.
That's true. And then there is also what's called a sole proprietor. Oh, I can't
Sole
say.
proprietor.
IRA.
Okay.
And that you can add, I believe this upcoming year, it's $49,000 to it, and then that's like all tax deductible. So like in a individual IRA, like what I have, what I put my money into, you can only add up to $7,500 in there.
Okay.
Whereas if I am a 1099, say I'm making, just for easy numbers, call it $50,000. If I get $50,000 and I want to just put that all into the IRA, I own the IRA.
Yeah.
My business owns the IRA, so it's mine. But I just took that all and wrote it all off, and then now it's tax deductible. So
Okay. There's a lot to learn with the little stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah, so
Okay.
there are benefits to being 1099. It's just a lot more nuanced, and you have to be way more open into like, how do I learn that?
Okay.
You know.
Yes. All right.
Yeah,
And then-
definitely. It's a testament to Luke that he's achieved so much success doing this. It takes a lot of discipline, especially with like a wife and kids. So I hand it to you to be able to like organize all this, because you have to be very responsible with your spending and your funding to make sure that you have enough on April 15th today.
Yes,
Tax
today.
day.
Today is tax day, everybody.
So then on my side, again, W-2, so Kelly is an organized company. It's not like a huge corporate conglomerate, which I really like, but we do have benefits, and we have several different like benefit plans, right? So we have an HSA plan if you're like a young guy or gal who doesn't have a lot of like medical expenses or something, or you have something more robust, which I'm on right now because I'm about to have a baby. So great, everything's covered practically. So that's super nice to have already set up. And then, as Kristen mentioned, there are benefits already included and already organized and set up for you, a retirement plan. We also do something that not a lot of other companies do, that y'all might totally like glaze over in an offer letter because it doesn't mean anything to you, but it's called profit sharing. There's a percentage of the company's profit that goes, and they contribute it in addition to your contributions to the 401k. So, for instance, I put money into the 401k, Kelly matches that up to a certain percentage. But then on top of that, at the end of the year, they have an additional percentage based on how much the company makes. So it incentivizes everyone at Kelly to help share leads with each other, collaborate, come together, because the more you help the guy next to you succeed, the bigger your quarterly spiffs are going to be, the bigger your profit sharing is going to be at the end of each year. And so we've had huge success of doing that over the last 4 or 5 years in particular. So it's not something that every company has, but something to ask about.
Okay, thank you. I know that we're into the minutia of things, but these are all very important things that you need to know about. In senior EFL in spring semester, I go over benefits, and I talk about the different insurances and things that are offered.
This is like EFL 822, and this is like high up.
This is several years into it, yes. Okay, talk to me about what your day-to-day looks like. How many hours a day are you working? Are you in the car or truck a lot? Are you on the phone? Are you on the computer? What does it look like, Luke? Oh, sure.
I'll go.
Okay.
Yeah, it's different for me because I am in a managerial role now. So my workload basically doubled when I became a manager because they gave me 2 extra hats to wear at the company. As a door-to-door salesman, which is what I still primarily am, work week, I would say, looks like 6 to 8 days of knocking 20 to 30 doors, talking to maybe half of those people, signing 1 in 20 of the people who I talk to.
Can we go back? Did you mean 6 to 8 hours? You said 6 to 8 days.
6 to 8 days.
How does that work?
Yeah,
In a week.
6 to 8 days in a week probably looks like 2 hours, 3 hours a day.
Okay,
Yeah,
I see.
yeah. It's that, and then it's working by going to the office and doing one-on-ones with my manager once a month, Friday phone calls, 15 minutes every week. Doing Tuesday team meetings. Now for me as a team manager, I'm also managing my guys, checking in on them, going to team leader meetings, making sure that the company's going in the right direction, making sure we're aligned for the month on our goals, checking in on all my guys, running their one-on-ones, running their jobs after some of the guys can't run their jobs all the way through, so I run their jobs. And then plus I'm managing other extracurricular things going on at the company, whether it's brainstorming new ideas for how to increase revenue or whatever that looks like. But that is all to say that my work week probably looks like 35 to 55 hours, depending on what season we're in. As a strict door-to-door salesman, it was probably 15 to 25 hours when I won the Golden Door Award, top 1% of door knockers in the country. I was probably working 25 to 30 hours a week.
Wow.
But the caveat to it, and the caveat to that is like, yeah, you can go into your office, work your 9 to 5, and kind of be checked out that whole entire time. But when you're going door to door, having that level of vulnerability with a homeowner, knowing that they're probably going to be upset that you're there, and having to work through a 10-second brief of like, okay, I see their face, I'm firing on all cylinders, here's what I got to say next. It's a higher level of work, and same thing if you're making calls, you're like, okay, this guy just said, what do you want? I better like get this thing out like as quickly as I can. So it's less hours, higher concentration on the work that's being done. Whereas if you're working 40 hours a week, it's like, okay, you might be working 40 hours a week, but like, how many hours are you working in that week? So
Sure. Okay, that's helpful.
Sure. And I definitely would like, a lot of sales is how much you put into it, right? Especially if you're 1099 like Luke, so, you could be busting your butt, like going through neighborhoods, and yeah, they're, depending upon your success rate, you can be awesome, you can have great days, you can have bad days. Same with me, right? There are better days than others about the success of a meeting you had or what have you. So for me, about a 45-hour week is typical, I would say. And then day to day for me, what I really love about the structure actually is I didn't necessarily want to be door knocking like homeowners all the time. Sorry, it just wasn't super appealing to me. Yeah. And a lot of like the good times for knocking, I understand are in the evening hours, and I wanted to be able to be home. So for us, it's kind of a split, and it's really nice. So most typically, I'm out on the road 3 days of the week, and then I'm in the office 2 days of the week. What my schedule is and what I do on the day-to-day is entirely up to me, which is great in a sales role. A lot of a lot of what I think both of us probably love about it is the flexibility that you have in your schedule. So if I am in the office from 8 to noon and I'm like, I can't do this anymore, I can go out on the road, and that's great. But there are days when I'll have like 2 road days, right, back to back, and I'll be like, I cannot wait to actually go into the office, see my coworkers, catch up on some emails and some follow-ups and some project management for this, that, and the other thing. I got to check in with Lewis. I got to check in with Duffy and these guys that I know, right? And then there are days when I'm like, wow, I don't want to be in the office tomorrow. Boom, I'm going to go out on the road. It's great to have that flexibility. So I'm always, going here and there around Northern Virginia. I have a company car, which is great. So I don't have to pay $4.19 for gas recently. So
Makes
it's
you
great.
wanna cry.
It's great. So that's pretty much what my day-to-day looks like. It's a split between client meetings and cold calls and admin work. And actually, if I can hop on another one.
Keep going. Yeah.
another like good distinction. So from what I understand what you said about outside and inside sales, if you're outside sales with Roof Simple, you're always cold calling. And if you're inside sales, you're receiving the warm leads. Is that right? Okay. So for us, it's a little bit of both. My job is both taking what we call in the company bluebirds, which means like somebody calls in or it's a referral or something like that. And I'm also hunting my territory for new customers. So I'd say half of the sign, it's probably about a 50-50 split that I have. So I do some warm leads that are already calling in and some cold call hunting, which is what I'm out on the road doing if I'm not following up on a visit I've already scheduled.
Okay. Can you all hold the microphone just a little bit closer to you?
Yeah, of course.
Thank you. And then, so when you say signs, you guys have said that word a couple times. That means somebody is signing on with you, and that's where the money is, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Funny story about that. We do this thing at Roof Simple where we have a thing called Fancy Dinner.
Okay.
And if you get 10 signs, then you get to go out to Fancy Dinner. And this one time I called the restaurant ahead of time because I was managing the Fancy Dinner, Magnolia at the Mill in Percival. I go, hey, we hit our Fancy Dinner. We're going to be coming out. We're going to be 8 guys. Could you make us up a pretty menu? Because some of these companies will, or the restaurants will do like a congratulatory menu or something silly. Also, guys, if you ever want to take your fiance or girlfriend out on a date, if you call ahead, sometimes they can like be like happy anniversary. But they wrote down congrats on the 10 signs. Our waitress comes over. She goes, congrats on hitting 10 signs. She's like, what does that mean? You hit like 10 road signs? And we're like, yeah, we hit 10 road signs. So yeah, signs are signatures, people, contract signed. Same thing, yeah.
This is so random. I just noticed your cufflinks, and it made me think, what do you all wear? To door knock, to sales calls? What are you wearing to the office?
Gosh, I change it up all the time.
Okay.
I will go between wearing like a plain white tee and like some shorts to wearing like a button down with khakis. Most of the time I knock doors and I don't have any like Roof Simple logos on. But more recently I've been putting on the Roof Simple logo just to look a little bit more professional. I used to not do it because I just like hated the way it looked. And I'm a little fashionista like that, but yeah, so.
Yeah, so you're not out there in this, right?
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
No.
Actually,
No. Not on a day like
Wearing
today.
this?
No.
Okay.
Gosh, if you showed up and I'd be like, come in, we're having dinner.
Get in here.
No, so if I lost a jacket, this is what I would wear to the office. I'm probably one of the dressier people in the office. It's like business professional, casual, I don't know what you call it.
Yeah.
But like even during finals week when there's not professional dress code, I would always like dress a little bit up because it put me in that mindset. I like to be on things. I like to be, get up and get dressed for the day. So that's just me personally. But
Look good, feel good, play good.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then out on the road, something pretty similar, maybe definitely more comfortable shoes than this. Just more like walking shoes, not sneakers. But yeah, khakis. I like to wear a company polo with the logo on it, or a company Oxford shirt with, again, the logo on it, because it really helps people be like, where are you from again? They can just look at, my shirt. So yeah, that's what I wear on the day-to-day.
Okay. Sorry, that was a total aside. It's not on the paper. Most of the stuff isn't on the paper. But I did think of a question. What do you wish you had known before you went into sales? So you've been doing it for not quite a year yet in a full-time role. What have you learned? What do you wish you would have known? What's advice that you have for students?
For me, not much, but that's because of the way that I prepared. I think I prepared very well. I just can't stress enough the advantage of shadowing, at least doing a day, or interning if you can at a place. Because some people are like, oh yeah, I want to make big money in sales. But what if you go and you actually hate it? And you're like, actually, I am scared stiff of talking to a stranger and could never build the skills to do it. If you don't have it, guys, you can work on it. You definitely can build the skills, and I get better all the time. I'm sure everybody at Roof Simple is constantly building up their skill set. But I would say the reason that I don't have many like, oh, I wish I knew this, is because I talked to a lot of people, I teased out different things, I got the inside scoop that you really can't get in an interview or from a job description. You know, what is the interior of the company like? You know, if you can get that inside scoop, it's great. And really get a sense for, is this for me or not?
Okay. Yeah. What about you, Luke?
Can you restate the question?
What do you wish you had known before? Now that you've been in it for so long, what do you wish you had known before? What advice would you say? Like, you need to know this thing.
I would say that for me, the advice I wish I would have gotten from someone is that sales and life are way more based on the way that we communicate and articulate ourselves to people. And growing in that skill is essential to your growth as a person, your growth as a husband, as a wife, as a father, as a mother, as a brother, you know, in every single facet. And if I would have taken that 1% more seriously every day, while at Christendom, while in my first year at Roof Simple, I would have been leaps and bounds more successful than I am now. It took a lot of going back and being like, oh man, I got to work on the way that I communicate an issue that I have with my boss. I have to communicate the way that I bring things back up the chain of command. I have to communicate better the way that I talk to someone on my team when they're doing something that I know isn't good for them. And everyone in a relationship will be like, oh, communication is key, but in life, communication is key. And in sales, communication is like more than the key. It's everything.
Yeah.
And I wish I would have taken that a little bit more seriously, because I'm sure some of the seniors are feeling this right now. Probably less than 20-some days left of school. And they're like, man, I wish I would have talked to that one person. I wish I would have been friendlier with that one guy. We're only getting closer in this last week, so.
Yeah, I was going to say, is that on? By the way, no seniors are worried about anything right now, right? No. Nothing.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Was
But you have a
that
good
it?
voice. That was projecting, right? You
Yeah,
guys could
was
hear
it
him, so
projecting?
yeah.
They heard me.
Okay.
Okay.
I love that.
Yeah.
All right. Tell me how networking has played a role in your job. Is that a thing? Do you have to get to know people kind of within the greater roofing industry, within door-to-door sales, et cetera? Has networking or having a network and talking to people helped you get more sales?
Networking makes it a little bit easier. Networking is not everything. Everyone looks for a silver bullet in terms of sales, but at the end of the day, it's fanatical prospecting. It's communicating well. It's leading yourself in a disciplined way. And I would say networking in between homeowners, it's not everything that it is unless it's business. When it's business to business, that's huge, because this guy knows this guy and they're friends because they both went to the same high school. And I would say that's way more of a thing in the business to business world than in the door to door world, because they'll just be like, oh yeah, you should talk to my neighbor, and then you go and talk to the neighbor, and the neighbor's like, no, like I don't even like Jim, you know.
Oh, geez.
So
Yeah, sure.
yeah.
Yes.
So.
Okay. What about you, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, Luke kind of touched on already. Definitely in business-to-business sales, networking is important. Again, it's not everything, but it definitely helps, guys. So every time that, you know, when I'm meeting with a client and they're with a property management firm, and I can say, oh my gosh, I know A, B, and C at these 3 locations that are with you guys, that builds a lot of credibility, right? Or if I can connect with somebody's regional, right, or a director or something like that, it definitely comes into play. LinkedIn helps here and there for sure with that. Getting on and doing some sleuthing about like, oh, like, who's this guy? And like, okay, who's his boss? Like, definitely, it helps. It helps.
Yeah.
So not a ton. I mean, in terms of, in one way you could say it's not a ton, and a way you could say it's everything at the same time. I don't know. It's always about like who you know, and what you have, and how many dots you can connect to build the rapport, to build the trust between you and a prospective client. It's always super helpful.
And I think from my perspective, so I think I've told a lot of you, I am on an email list with 350 women in this area. They are moms, they are homeowners, they are, sending their kids to school, they're homeschooling, they're doing all sorts of stuff. Well, they have homes that need a new roof, or maybe they need a generator. You wouldn't do their generator with business stuff, but they are looking for referrals all the time. They're looking for doctor referrals, they're looking for everything. And so when we say networking, that's also this kind of thing. Like, I know Luke, and I would, without a doubt, recommend him to somebody on this list. If they said, oh, who should I get to look at my roof? I would be like, Luke, because I have built that relationship with him, and I feel confident passing his name along to other people. So this type of networking, where then I am the referral to somebody else, is really helpful. So that's where building your brand, remember from sophomore year, and building up that brand with other people helps you out in the future.
Yes, something to piggyback off of that is, I feel like, you guys can tell me if I'm wrong, at Christendom, and I talked to a guy from Ave Maria actually today about this, probably like 2 hours ago. I was on the phone and I was like, man, at Ave, it just seems like they'll say to you, oh yeah, you got to talk to this guy. He knows all about that, and he'll connect you with his brother who actually is in that industry. Whereas we'll be like, I know this guy, and he philosophically knows about it, but I don't want to bug him. And it's like, nah, man, if I like met a guy who owned a company and he was like talking about generators, I'd be like, oh yeah, you should talk to my boy Nick Ward. He knows all about that. So yeah, I think laying down the, I don't want to bug someone, or I don't want to be ashamed because I'm like being salesy,
Sure.
But like being able to network across all of us is what builds up our community. It's what builds up this area. It's what builds up the Christendom network. And if we're like hiding those things, we're hiding, good talents and good people from those who are like deserving of being treated well by good sales reps or by good companies.
Okay, totally shifting gears because I think we're coming towards the end of our time. How does your faith play into your work? But then also, how do you build in your faith life to the schedule that you have? So I know you talked a little bit about, like, obviously the people, if you don't know, people at Roof Simple are majority Christendom folks in all positions. And so obviously that plays a big part in your life, but what about your work life? What about yours?
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to speak to that. I definitely it was a desire of mine to kind of, in a safe way, I guess you could say, go out and be a little bit more edgy on the, restore all things in Christ, and go out into the secular world a little bit and not specifically work for a Catholic company. I did not want to be part of a corporate conglomerate and be a number. So I think that being at Christendom in a small community actually translated super well to a small mid-sized company like Kelly Generator, because I'm not I'm not number 352 XYZ, I'm Nick Ward, everyone in the company knows at least my face, and most of them by name. So that was very appealing to me. It is, again, John Kelly, the president, is donor to Christendom, is a Catholic guy, but the company is by no means like a Catholic company. It's a for-profit generator business. I would say predominantly, I think a lot of people in the company are at least Christian. There are some other Catholics in the company as well. But it's definitely lent itself to being able to speak to my faith, my values, my morals. You'd be surprised what can come up from left field in the first 5 minutes of a lunch break. It's actually crazy. So being able to like be in that environment where I'm not like absolutely drowned out in like a corporate conglomerate, but also be able to share my faith. You know, it's not like I'm going out evangelizing everybody in my company or saying like you should come to church on Sunday, but definitely like things come up or they ask my opinions about you name it. Very interesting like conversations that have come up, and being able to witness to people who don't necessarily have the same values or mores is a great opportunity to kind of to shed the light of Christ on others and to be a good example. I've had more than one person come up to me and say like, hey, I noticed that you don't do or say X, Y, or Z, and like I really appreciate it, or like I won't do that around you, and I didn't even ask them to, and it's like, hey, thanks, and like, yeah, you should do better about that, you know, like I'll check back in with you about that. So it's great, and I think that's been a huge blessing to be able to like, it gives me a huge sense of satisfaction, you know, not in like a, oh, I was awesome today, you know, thing, but just like, wow, thank the Holy Spirit, thank God for that moment, you know, pray for that person that seed bear some fruit, you know, and maybe like I'm not the one to water that seed, but at least it's there. That's great.
Okay, love that. Yeah.
Yeah,
What about you?
a little different. There are Tuesday team lead meetings through Lent. We were like praying a rosary before our team meetings for all of our guys. Team meetings start with a prayer. My one-on-ones with guys are more like spiritual direction. We do Thursday holy hour for all of our guys as leaders. Company has Mass on St. Joseph's Day. Our patron, we're dedicated to St. Joseph. We also do like every Wednesday, the company does Mass at St. John's, so you'll see us there at like 8 in the morning. It's like definitely a whole entire part of our identity is our relationship to Christ, and how are we growing as individuals within that relationship. So a little bit different.
A little bit different, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That is absolutely awesome, though. Just
Yeah, that's really incredible. I did not know all of that. Yeah. Okay, before we turn it over to them to ask questions, what is something that we didn't cover that you were hoping to say that you were hoping I would ask today?
Yeah, if you don't take anything from this talk at all, and you forget it all, just try and remember this one thing. There is nothing wrong with being ambitious to be a good disciple through doing your work well. That's it.
Yeah, finally having a mic in front of Christendom students is awesome because I get to say something that I've always wished, like, especially to the young men in the crowd, you know, who are interested in starting a family, or maybe you're dating now, whether you're not, you are or you're not, like, and the women too, don't get me wrong, but like, go out there and kill it. Like, you can do amazing things, and you are the only one setting your limitations. That sounds probably really cheesy, but you have no idea how much of an edge on your peers that you have. You literally do not even know. Like, I was flabbergasted when I was in my internship, and I would see like people, like customers or other people or whatever. I'd be like, oh my gosh, like, why am I like so much more on top of this? I know how to write an email. Holy crap, like, great.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's astounding. So don't sell yourself short. Go out there, you know, if you're going to be a missionary, go do it and do it well, and like, praise God. If you want to, you know, do really well in sales, and, you know, from the money you get to that, support great things and support your family, and definitely just, yeah, to do it. And don't be afraid to reach out to Luke or I or any of the other alumni. Oh, that was one thing. I took full advantage of the resources that I had here. Mrs. Stevens knows how many times I was in her office, and it was great. So do not be afraid to go to her. She was awesome. And I also made full use of the alumni networking booklet. When I was discerning my career, I called lots of different people. I was on the phone with Jeff Scrivener's older brother talking about project management. I met the architect who helped build our chapel, and I cornered to him, and we had like a 30-minute conversation, and it was great. And I found out that I didn't want to do architecture. but he's an awesome guy, and we totally hit it off. So don't be afraid to reach out to people, to alumni that have gone before you, and really, delve into what you want to do. Don't just be like, oh, I guess I'll do teaching, or like, oh, I guess there are no other sales out there, I'll do roofing sales. No, like seriously, like there are lots of options in every career. It's just up to you to use the tools you have at your disposal.
Yeah.
Like, Kristen, please do my research for me.
Yeah, and just to throw one more thing in there, don't forget don't be afraid to be ambitious for the discipleship and growing closer to God through your work. Don't forget that.
And also.
Another thing to add, just side caveat, as Catholics and as people of a high moral rectitude from going to Christendom, we all typically will be a little too hard on ourselves. Oh man, I'm just not good enough. Like I fall all the time, and the power that comes from a positive thinking rooted in what God says about you is a very, very powerful tool that we don't use very often, but it's actually taught to you a lot more in sales, which is interesting. Is like, God loves you. God wants you to be successful. God wants you to like do the right thing and do it well. So it would be a shame if you came out of Christendom with all the tools that you had and you sold yourself short because you let your own lies that the devil perverted of being like you're not good enough to hold you back. So
Yes. Okay, so I think next year Luke is going to come back and be a
spiritual
motivational speaker.
direction, yeah.
Yes, everything.
Yeah.
One other thing
I'll
I
be
do
doing
want
one-on-ones after this.
Absolutely. One other thing about Nick is that he got his offer and he negotiated his salary. I can't remember, did they give you more? Or did they say no because they already offered you a really great deal?
They said no
You
because
got profit sharing and you tried to negotiate
I
that.
did.
Oh, yeah.
I did. Because hey,
That's
if you're
great.
if you're applying for a sales job, you better ask them.
Yes,
for
you
more.
better,
What are you
because
doing if you're
they,
not?
Yes.
But they had already given me more because I was an intern
Yes.
with them, and they knew that they wanted me, which I'm not bashful to say.
Yes. But what I loved is that he actually signed his offer in my office. He was like, okay, I'm going to say yes, I'm going to accept it. And he pushed the button right there. And it was really fun to be part of that with you.
It was great, and I so appreciate all your help.
Yeah.
Kristen was like, what are you doing? Say yes. I was like, okay, yeah.
Right, he had all these
I'm
questions.
pumped.
He's like, I have other phone calls scheduled. I'm like, no, you don't. You have a job offer. Take the job offer. So, yes. Okay, we will come to you in a minute, sir. I've got to figure out, do we have a microphone to ask questions? Yes, Emma's got it. Okay. By the way, just really quickly, if you did not see Maggie and you don't think she got you down, feel free to email me. Just pop an email on your phone real quick to me to just say, I was definitely here. Emma, come on up.
Camera,
We've got
take
one.
a pan of who's all here.
That's true,
We'll
yes.
be deferring.
Reno, do you have everybody in there? All right, yes, sir. You're first. Thank you for sitting up front. Yep.
All right, this is a question for the man, the myth, the legend, Nicholas Ward. Is your workplace like the show The Office?
Is my workplace like the office?
Yeah. Like the show?
Well, we don't have Dwight, so no.
Oh, okay.
But I do work. I do work in an office, and yes, we have desks, and it's cool, I guess. So if that's your vibe, sure.
All right, Veronica had her hand up back there, and then we'll come back up. And the gentleman will hang out for a little while after if we can't get to everybody.
Hi, I had a question that's more about the door-to-door sales. Now, the economy right now is like really bad, so I imagine it's harder to sell large-scale purchases to people. How has your approach had to change, and how has that affected your income when people are less likely to buy these big
You want to do a funny exercise?
Sure.
You be a homeowner.
Hi, I own a house.
Ready? Knock, knock, knock.
What do you want?
Yeah, sorry to bother you. I just wanted to stop by and see if you heard about insurance paying full roof replacements in this area.
Is it because of the hailstorm?
Yeah, were you here for that?
Yeah, I live here. Yeah.
Yeah, were you here on 316?
Three other people just knocked on my door the other day, and I said yes to all of them.
Had you had your roof checked?
Yeah, I have actually.
What did they say?
There's hail up there.
Yeah, how come you haven't filed to get your roof fully replaced by insurance?
Have the right guy hasn't come around, I guess.
Right guy hasn't come around? Well,
Yeah.
here I am. I just wanted to let you know. Hey, here's how it's recession proof. I just wanted to let you know that insurance has been paying for full roof replacements. If you don't take advantage of this now, you might be paying, well, let me ask this. How much do you think your roof will get paid for? How much do you think it costs to do a roof replacement?
I'm
It's
trying to
hard to-
actually think. Let's see.
It's hard to say. I'll tell you.
$15,000.
Yeah, it'll actually be like $23,000 to get this paid for. Who knows 5 years from now what roofs
I
cost?
might not even have a roof.
Yeah. 5 years from now, if insurance pays for the roof now, you won't have to worry about paying $24,000, $25,000, $26,000 when, insurance prices aren't covering roofs anymore, or when asphalt goes up because oil is more expensive. But if you can get it paid for now by insurance, you're only paying $500 to $1,000. So there's a good reason that people are knocking on your door, and there's a good reason to get your roof paid for by insurance.
So all I have to pay you is $1,000?
Yeah, $1,000 deductible, but that's only if I find damage up there and you have a good insurance company that pays for the roof. And then I'm doing your roof for you for $1,000. How does that sound?
You know what? I'm sold.
So to answer your question in a long elaborated way, my job is recession proof. People always have to pay for a roof, no matter what. But if insurance will pay for it, and guess what, guys? The hardest thing that people can't accept at Christendom is they go, this whole insurance thing, it's such a scam. It's crazy, guys. Insurance actually gets up on the roof. They agree to the damage that's up there, and then they pay for it.
Right. There's no scam
It's not
with
a
that.
scam. There's a reason why we're all doing it. So, yeah, for these homeowners, it's recession-proof way to get their roof paid for so that they're not paying $23,000, $24,000, $25,000 down the line.
But Veronica, that's a great question because there are different types of sales, and somebody is less likely to purchase something that's not as necessary. And so certainly if they were selling something else, I'm sure their sales tactics would have to change. So that's a great question to ask. Emma, come on down.
Thank you so much. This is for Nick Ward. So I had a question about how you can negotiate specific benefits. Like, let's say that you didn't want to partake in the 401k because you're interested in a Roth IRA. Is that something you could negotiate, or is that something that's typically hard set?
That's a great question. I'm not exactly sure on the answer, to be completely honest. I'm not super up to date on the difference between what a Roth IRA would perhaps give.
Roth IRA means that it's it's tax deductible when
it's taken out at the end.
Taken out at
Right.
the end.
So here's
So
the
it's
thing.
taxed on it's going to be taxed on the way in or the way out. So probably it's going to be set probably by your company that probably wouldn't make an exception, but they might. I mean, it's worth a question.
I'll tell you this, you either participate in their retirement program or you don't. You're not going to be able to get something different saying like, I'm not participating, can you give me that money? Because they can't match the money if nobody else is putting it in. So you have to participate or just not. The Roth part, my retirement account here, I can choose whether it's Roth or whether it's traditional. So.
Can I tell you something? Can I add to that? What's your name? Philip. Life is a negotiation, man, and everything can be negotiated. And if you want to say to the guy, hey, I don't want to participate in this IRA, I want to do my own thing, can you pay me X amount more, and then they don't have to worry about it? There's a benefit to them doing it, but if you can ask for that and show your value as to why you want that, they're going to be more inclined to take it so long as you provide the value of why that's good for you. And if you're a good reader, there's a lot of good books about this stuff. One of them is called Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss.
Great book.
And that's explaining negotiation tactics from a hostage negotiator. And I mean, yeah, man, you sit down with your guy and you're like, how do you expect me to do that? He's going to be like, I don't know. You want your IRA thing, man? Take it. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, sir, up here.
Mr. Furlong.
Hello, this is a question for both of you. Was there a class at Christendom or like an extracurricular activity, which you think is most helpful for the sales career?
Ooh, pick me.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, if you're being a good student helps, like in the first part, being a good listener. So if you can like sit through Schwartz and like process all the information that's coming on like to you and write it down all, that's good practice to be able to actively listen to what your professors are saying, be able to process it, and to come up with like an articulate and sensical question to ask them. That's great practice in of itself, so be a good student. However, there are also many things that I think really helped me. There are basically sales roles here at Christendom that will help you build skill sets that you may not already have. So being an ambassador. I would say that if Mr. Phillips got commission, I would ask him for 50% of his commission for the students that I was an ambassador for, because I sold them the school every time that they come. Being an ambassador, you are selling Christendom to prospective students. I also took it as like, do we want this guy here or do we not? So,
Right.
you go to Franciscan, we don't want you. But yeah, so being an ambassador is sales, and you can treat it as such. There are internships available in the advancement department. You can do calling for the advancement department. Get your skills about just calling someone and not being afraid to pick up the phone. Definitely a great skill to do. I interned for Rose Lara in the advancement department for a good bit. Being part of the philanthropy board, that is very much like sales as well. That'll give you great practice about networking with your fellows, like classmates, etc. So those are the ones that come to my head right away as great practice for building different skill sets that are super transferable to sales.
Yep. I did not take advantage of any of those things because I was a drinking man on campus. So I would say for me, the biggest things that I took advantage of that were the best and that were the most helpful for sales was going and sitting with that guy that nobody's sitting with. Or if you are that guy, going and sitting with that group that makes you a little bit uncomfortable to go and sit with. Talking to that one person who you've never talked to who's actually in your class. Because when you see them in Martin's 3-4 years from now, when you graduate and you walk past them, you want to be able to be like, hey man, how's it going? You know, you don't want to just, shield yourself from them like you did all 4 years that you were here. Because you know that if push came to shove and you were locked in a room of 100 people, you would want to hang out with that guy.
Yes. So another tidbit about talking to people that you don't normally engage with on campus, or the person that annoys you in class. You guys all you can think of somebody, I'm sure. Mrs. McFadden, we did a stay-at-home mom Life on Tap years ago, and she said, you never know what kind of kid you are going to have. And they might have that same personality of that kid that annoys you in class. So you should talk to everybody and get to know everybody.
Or your kid might go and marry that kid's kid.
Yes. Yes.
And you're like, man, I ignored you all for the last 20 years. Yes. And now we got to have this awkward conversation why I never talked to you.
Yes, so true.
But the reason why that's good for sales is because it teaches you to have the conversation, to ask questions, to be generally interested in someone who otherwise you might not have been interested in.
Absolutely.
That's where Jesus would have been, if you need a good example.
Absolutely. All right, one last question, Isabel Marie.
Thank you so much for your time. Could you describe the hardest part of your job and some tactics you use to overcome why it's the hardest part of your job.
Great question.
I'm going to need a minute.
It's all easy for Luke.
The hardest part of the job is the mindset and the way that I talk to myself. It's the, I got to wake up, go and talk to 15, 20 people who I don't know from Adam and try and get them to do this thing that I know is good for them. But I just don't want to do it because I'm scared I might fail, because they might look at me funny, because my peers might think that I can't do the job anymore. And that's horrifying if you're insecure. So I'm a little insecure, but we're all a little insecure.
Certainly.
But in sales, I would say that's probably the hardest part is, how do people look at me? But when I'm at my best, I'm just saying, I don't need to focus on any of that. I just need to focus on what I can control, which is my input. What's my attitude? What's my approach? How am I going to these doors? How many doors am I knocking? How many people am I talking to? That's all the stuff that I can control, and then I just give the rest to God. And then it becomes a little bit easier.
Two quick things for me. One, more minor, is when you lose a sale, it's always hard not to let that get you down, right? You gotta keep your eyes moving forward. You take a second or maybe more to look at what happened and what you could have done to make it better or not have that outcome, but then put it behind you and let that fuel your next win, right? And then for me, I think a large part of my job is remaining organized and keeping a broad strategy, not losing the forest through the trees, basically, because there are a lot of clients that I am dealing with. I have a massive territory and so many people, and keeping tabs on all of the projects that I'm working on and not letting the ton of things that I know that are there that I'm not touching stress me out, but just to regroup myself, organize myself as best I can, and continue chugging on the day-to-day and not let that get me down, but let it fuel me to try to remain and get all those things organized, because it's a lot.
Okay. Well, we will end on that note. Thank you all so much for the great questions. Give them a round of applause.
Thank you, Luke.
Thank you, Nick.
Thank you, Kristen.
Thank you all.